Hello and welcome to the Build with Baer workshop. I jumped the gun on that one, went to a thing I didn't need to go to. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit to hang out with you. I'm throwing the Baer Cave, the Lego, the site, the moat in the chat. Feel free to respond with those if you're currently a subscriber. I'm going to put my bandana on because I didn't before the stream started, and I might start sweating in here, and I'd rather have my bandana on. So I'm going to do that live in front of y'all. Boom, boom, boom. And boom, and we're done. Bandana on. No problem. When you pre-tie a bandana, it's easy to put it on your dumb head. Lastbrook is here. Hey, Lastbrook. We are in the hangout zone here, waiting for the stream to start. Waiting for a few more folks to join us before we get into building. So if you are currently, Rissafan is here too. Hello, hello. So yeah, this is the hangout zone. Working on a kit from the year 2001, the Kampfer. This thing is a great little kit. Cool design. I am slightly disappointed in the fact that the photo is blue. The photo is accurate in its coloring. The actual kit is a little teal. It's a little more teal than I would like. But it is a model kit from the year 2001. It literally was released in January 2001, so it is a very old kit, and it shows I will be using a screwdriver. And you might think, Pat, that seems like actually a big screwdriver for the screws you're using, because you can see, you may be able to see right here, they're very tiny screws. But the thing about this kit and kits of this era is where you are screwing screws into is not like cut. It's not. You're basically shoving a screw into just plastic and screwing into it. It's not like they're recessed with a groove in a way that you would have, other style kits. This is just plastic. It's just plastic. And I'm just shoving a screw in there and then tightening the screw, and the hole is a little smaller so that it will thread it. So this is not meant to, take apart too well. Literally on Twitter today, someone was just like, "Hey, that's a fun kit. I broke a piece of plastic screw on one of the knees on it when I built it. So look out for that." And I was like, "Great to know." So I will be trying to be extra careful about getting that screw in place without damaging anything. But yeah, it is a cool looking kit. I'm excited to build it. Honestly, the Kampfer's is a great kit. You got your beam sabers, of course, but you also got your bazookas and you got your shotgun and just a model kit. A mobile suit with a shotgun. That's just an odd novelty that I can appreciate. Somebody renewed their subscription before the stream started. If you want to hit that notification button, please do. If you don't want to hit that notification button, you don't have to. But thank you for renewing your subscription. I appreciate it. Just a reminder, folks, that if you were gifted a sub, you can make that an actual thing. We had that last night, which was very nice. But you can go ahead and convert that into a regular subscription. You don't have to, but you can. We will get into building properly in a moment or two. We'll talk about stuff that's going on in the world, I guess. Some of the things we won't talk about, we will. As always, this is the thing that I did want to say in the stream before we begin, and I will reiterate this as much as needed. We are entertainment without escapism. That is the motto here on this stream. So that means we can talk about real things. We can talk about things that are happening. We can talk about current events. We don't have to, but we can. But we are not going to shy away from those things. We're not going to pretend they don't exist. This is not a stream that pretends that it's like, oh, we don't talk about politics here because I don't want, I'm not, if I was interested in keeping every possible viewer in the world and not saying things that may alienate viewers, I would have more viewers, but I would have less fun doing this. And it would not be a good escape for me. And it would not be good for my own mental well-being. So I am not interested in doing that, and we will not have that here. If people are not interested in my politics, or not interested in my opinions and philosophies, and they just can't with it, then they should find another stream where they aren't going to be challenged, or they might not be interested, or they might be interested in what they have to say. There are plenty of people out there, and there are some other people that build model kits on this here Twitch. Not a lot, but you can find someone else, and maybe they won't talk about things that interest them or mean something to them. But I certainly will be talking about those things as they come up. I'm not afraid to talk about them because I want to be genuine and honest. And also, a thing that is important to me is that this chat, that this stream, be a place for some people that don't feel like they are comfortable in other streams or they're worried about it. I want them to feel safe and secure here, that they can come here and express themselves, and that this is a welcoming place. That is very important to me. To start, I know that there's some people that never really think about that, and then they blow up a bit, and then they're like, oh no, I don't like my audience. I do not have that issue. I am very pleased with my audience, the folks that are watching on YouTube after the fact, folks that watch a stream, folks that watch every stream. I'm very pleased with the folks that have come here and chosen to make this part of their day or their week or their month or whatever. I'm not daily, so I couldn't think of a better way to say that. But people that are here once a week, people that are here 3 times a week, 4 times a week, thank you very much for that. I am going to retweet tweet that we are ready to build, and we'll get into building. Hopefully we'll get a few more folks joining us. There was a good little bit of buzz today on the Twitter. Over the tweets were a little bit of buzz about this project. Which was very nice to see. So hopefully some people will decide to tune in and observe and check out what we're doing. Had a good turnout last night for my anime streams. My Wednesday streams, I never know how they're going to go or how they're going to do. So if anybody comes by, I'm usually pretty psyched about that. But we had some good engagement with folks asking some questions and getting some... and let me know their thoughts about a few things, clarifying a couple things I was unaware of. And I think overall it was a good time, and I was happy to have those conversations. Yeah, that will go up on my YouTube on Monday as part of Pat Baer's Anime Club because I recorded it specifically for that. Lastbrook says, I saw Mass Effect's own Austin Walker asking about the kit. Yes, Austin Walker, a fan of this mobile suit, and asking if I thought the kit held up or not, as it is old. And I let him know that basically a lot of the stuff I've said here. I don't like the color change. And the thing I honestly do not enjoy about this kit, really more than anything else, is that... and we'll get to it a little bit, is you're going to get a lot of discoloration on a kit of this era. I don't know. It'll probably show up in photographs, but basically, anywhere you're going to snip here, anything on here that you're going to hit, when you snip this apart, it is going to discolor. That is just a part of the plastic that was made in this era. And it is a little frustrating. I think the stickers look nice. I think the fact that it has screws, the benefit of having screws on this kit is that it is going to be very sturdy, that it will be posable. That's why they started adding the screws, was so that the arms weren't floppy, so that the legs didn't spread apart and make it so you couldn't pose with it. This was an attempt to fix a problem that they had, and I think they did do that. They did fix the problem. It's just that I think that the downsides are pretty obvious. All right, so we'll put that there. We are going to get most of an arm assembled because we did start this on Monday. We got through some of this kit on Monday, which was good. There will be parts here that we will be doing duplicates of, and then we will be, because I've already done these parts as well, and then there are parts that we will not see again until we are ready to work on the other side of the arm. But yeah, now we've got most of this connected. Yeah, we got to go on. You end up with a pretty good frame, a good structure for this kit, which I appreciate. And now we're going to build most of a hand. So this kit does come with hands like this here. They feel kind of rubbery. They're not as rubberized as the feet and hands in like the G Gundam kits, the Master Grades of G Gundam from a few years, several years before this. Those are those are just rubber. But these are kind of rubberized. They feel a little different. Um, so we will take out some pieces here. We're just going to do the one hand. That will go here. So we need 6 and 2. 2 is the thumb. Oh, we got here. Dr. Lullaby is now following. Thank you very much, Dr. Lullaby. Appreciate the follow. Also, cool name. Like that. Am liking the look of this kit. Lots of separate colored parts of each area. So looking great even without painting. Yes. So, I do think this, I will agree with you. I think this kit is going to look good without any painting. There are folks that the discoloration where the pieces are separated from the sheet, those, you could buff down. You probably wanted to paint. The real thing is, while I do think that this teal color is nice, it is not the bright, lovely blue that you see in the photo that is show realistic or the show colors. So that is a bit of a disappointment if you know the kit. But if you're just looking at it, I do think this looks pretty sharp, and I'm not like mad at what we end up with. I'm mostly just disappointed that it is not exactly what as I think other kits of this era had this problem as well, where they were just like, we just can't get the color we want, so we're not going to have the color we want, and that's a shame. All right, so we need C2 and C4. Right before the stream started tonight, I was watching I've run out of things to watch on YouTube, as I'm sure some of you are in a similar position where you've just run out of things you want to watch, and your normal people are posting things, and you're like, well, I guess I'll find new people to watch stuff. So I was watching a video someone made on the history and failure of DashCon, the fan convention of fans who found themselves on Tumblr. It was not affiliated with Tumblr. You may have heard of DashCon as one free hour in the ball pit. I haven't built a Gunpla in forever. Is there a place you would recommend to start? I'd love to get a G Gundam Gunpla. Well, first I'll say welcome. Happy to have you here, Hell's Shinobi. Welcome. Dr. Lullaby. So, in general, the two websites that I would recommend to order things from are Gundam Planet and USA Gundam Store. Gundam Planet is in New Jersey. Their warehouse and physical store is in New Jersey. USA Gundam Store is out of Florida. I don't know West Coast big shippers. Those are the two that I know. They have very good stock. They constantly renew their stock. So if you're looking for something specific, those are two great websites to look at. Also, it sucks, but Amazon is still a good place to buy model kits because you can get prime shipping. It is a shame, but it is still a resource. Now, so those are for specific things. If you're just like, I would like to buy a couple of model kits, like, your local stores would be happy to have your business. They would be so thrilled to have you come in and take a look at stuff, your hobby shops in your area. Of course, Barnes & Noble has model kits that often go on sale, sometimes through their website, other times they're in store. A lot of their stuff is going to be high grades. They're going to be modern high grades, and they're going to be stuff from Build Fighters and Build Divers, because those two shows are new, and Build Fighters specifically is targeted at a young audience. So they're assuming that people that want to buy a model kit, that are want to buy a model kit from that show are younger folks that maybe are shopping with their folks and being like, oh, it's a model kit. So like that is certainly a good place to go and take a look for something. And GameStop is sometimes really into having model kits. I got a couple things on them for sale for them. They are, in my experience, GameStop is very bad at uh, mailing things out and packaging those things. So I would say, uh, um, are there specific phrases or things I should look for on product descriptions to avoid heavy painting? So I don't paint myself, right? So I tend to, obviously this is a kit from the year 2001. I often tend to look at model kits that are that are modern, stuff that came out in the last even 10 years. Most of these kits, most of your high grades and your master grades, your RE100 kits, they're not going to really require a lot of painting or any painting at all. They're going to be pretty damn show accurate. Of course, with high grades, you're going to have a lot of stickers. With master grades, you're going to have less stickers, but you're going to have more like water transfers, which you can do or you don't have to do. But I would say the last 10 years, even specifically, people have done, or Bandai has done a really good job of making kits that just kind of out of the box look pretty damn good. Your older kits are going to be, they're going to be probably, they maybe want some paint, they want some marker work, they want some lines because they did the best they could at the time, or they didn't, and they were lacking in what they ended up with. Hey Jim, welcome, welcome. A good thing to do is, a thing that I like to do is, honestly, I search for the model kit on YouTube because there are the top couple results for any model kit that you search for. If you search for like the model kit name and put in if it's a master grade or high grade, the top 3 most popular are all going to be people who review a lot of model kits, and I think those often I end up using those reviews because I'm looking for, hey, here's the thing I noticed about this kit that made it very difficult for me to build, so that I have some sort of advantage when it comes time for me to build a kit. Also, sometimes I am looking for pronunciation of a model kit. If it's a Gundam show that I haven't watched or I'm not super familiar with, it might be nice to just go and find it there rather than trying to track down an episode of an anime that it was in, because they did the work for me in pronunciation. But I think that is a valuable resource. There are, I think your major reviewers there do a pretty good job. Yeah, no problem. It is, and you mentioned getting a G Gundam Gunpla. So there are only 4 G Gundam kits that were made into master grades. The Shining Gundam, the Burning Gundam, or the God Gundam, or Burning, whatever. You know what I mean. Shining and Burning, the Spiegel, and the Master Gundam. I found a really nice looking God Gundam. Yes. So the God Gundam, there's also there's the ones that came out at the time. Then there are some high-res ones that are very expensive. They re-released the God Gundam with some high-res assets, high-res plastics, and it looks beautiful. I haven't built it, but I've seen plenty of photos of that. I will say one of my favorite G Gundam kits is a high grade, but it is the Master Asia's Gundam, the Master Gundam, on his horse. Yeah, I saw a high-res God Gundam, but it's like $150. Yeah. I saw that and I went, cool. I hope people that spend that much money get exactly what they want from this. That's not what I'm looking for. The most I have ever spent, I mean, I've spent some money on some kits. I think the most I ever spent is I spent like $85 on the Sazabi. Ruby Red Sazabi was very expensive. I don't think it was $85, but it was a lot of money. It is one of my favorite kits, and it's not just because it's beautiful. I also just think it's a fantastic kit. But yeah, I'm not here to spend $100. But my wish list does include a few kits that are very pricey because if you want to spend that much money, I'll build it. That's how you get to build perfect grades and all that. So this is 11. So this is going to go here. My lighting here is a little hard to read the numbers on this kit, so I am doing my best. All right, try to get these out here. But yeah, if I was going to paint this, I would really sand down all the nubbins. I would really, try to find the right color and really go for it. But I do not believe that I will be doing much to this kit outside of applying stickers. I might do the dry transfers that come with this kit, because there are some dry transfers, and sometimes dry transfers from 19 years ago will still work. I've had mixed success with dry transfers and getting those to work. I'm not particularly skilled with that, but I might give it a go. We'll kind of decide at the end of this kit if I want to try. Oh yeah, So the real problem is, I'm going to say this right now, and this is not to put the fear, any kind of fear in anybody. But I'm just going to say this: if you ever looking at a model kit and it's not for a Gundam series, get that model kit when you're thinking about it. Don't wait and go like, oh, I'll get that in a couple years. Get it while you see it, because you will in 3 years you're going to regret it, because if it's not a major company, especially if it's not Bandai, but even Bandai has, if it's Dragon Ball, sure, but I'm starting to see One Piece kits start to eke up in price, some of the older One Piece kits, because they're not getting re-releases, or they're not putting more out there. So if you see a kit if it's an incredible markup, don't bother. But what's going to go up in price and never come back down? If you're robot stuff, they're never going to re-release the Big O kit. I got a Big O kit when it came out, and I've been thinking about trying to get another one. Those are never going to come back, and they're never going to be cheaper. And it's just if you want to get, maybe, when the live action Cowboy Bebop comes out, the Cowboy Bebop kits will get a modern re-release. And I can get a Swordfish 2 for under $100. I think it's 80 something a lot of times at cons. And maybe someday I'll get a new Swordfish 2. But I'm not holding my breath. Big O kit. Yeah. Yeah, that's only going to become more valuable. Exactly, yeah. A Frankie kit. That would be fun. Super Robot Wars OG. That's not even the entries people like. There you go. I've been watching the modern antique creep happening with Lego kits. Yes. Right? So I built a Swordfish 2. I bought it at EB Games in the 90s, and I loved it, and I would definitely buy it again. I was at a con and saw it, and I think it was $90, and I was like, no, I don't $90 like it, because I had also spent almost $100 on model kits at that con. So I was like, I like this, but not enough to get it. All right, so we're going to build one shoulder, put these parts aside. You can put this on here soon. We built the hand, but there's another part that has to go in the hand, and I don't know why we didn't do it there. This instructions are a little all over the place. I grew up building Zoids and now switching to Gunpla since it's more accessible in the States. Yeah, I will say this, Snake. The Zoids Wild, which is the most recent Zoid series, and I cannot tell you about the anime. I have not watched Zoids Wild, but I built the kit that was motorized from there, a Liger from there. It was a pretty easy build. It wasn't as complicated even as the Zoids I remember when I used to build them when the original series came out. Which, weirdly enough, in the United States, we all saw the second series before we saw the first series. We all saw the racing series, and then eventually we saw the prehistoric one, the like post-apocalypse one. Uh, the United States Cartoon Network switched the order, which is wild to me, but they did. Uh, but anyway, I used to build Zoids, and Zoids Wild. Those kits are. I built two of the modern ones, and they're pretty neat. Uh, they're pretty dang cool. As far as accessible, the 30-minute missions kits were really nice, not super complex, but nice designs and super cheap. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, those are pretty neat. I will agree with you. Um, I started with high grades from Gundam Wing because I was really into Gundam Wing, and that was kind of my gateway. I'd seen Gundam before, but that was the first like Gundam series that I was like, oh, this fucking rules. I want to really get into this. Um, and so I bought a high grade of the Death Scythe. My first model kit was the original Death Scythe high grade, and then took it from there. And then when I worked at an import store, I got the opportunity to start to build model kits for display. Oof. And that was really nice because that allowed me to start working on master grades for the first time and get experience doing that, and get into that. And then eventually started building some perfect grades, and then stopped building altogether for a very long time and got back into it a few years ago because I had wanted to get into model kit building again, and I kept like putting it off because I also wanted to start streaming, but I didn't want to do video games, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. There's got to be something out there that I can do. And then in the shower one day, it came to me. The name came to me, the Build with Baer workshop, and I was like, well, I need to make that a thing. That has to be a thing. What would I do in the Build Baer workshop? And then I was like, I'd build model kits. Also, around that same time, Austin Walker, or maybe before that, Austin Walker had done a bit for Giant Bomb for the Game of the Year thing where he did a fake Gunpla building stream as if he was a Gunpla builder. And that was like, oh, yeah. That is something you could just do. You ordered the God Gundam. Hell yeah. Oh, nice. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you stopped by too, and I'm glad that you got the God Gundam. Yeah, that's the thing I say to people who want to, either get back into model building or start model building that don't know where to begin, is you start with the kit that you remember, the shows you remember really loving, and you get a kit from that show. And then once you have, you're buying kits eventually just because they look cool or look different, but you want to start. I haven't watched Gundam in forever, but G Gundam was my favorite. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like having the God Gundam, tracking down the high grade of the Devil Gundam, which just is a big head and is one of the weirdest high grades I've ever built in my life. It's just completely bizarre and nonsense. I wish they would have done a master grade of it. I totally understand why they didn't. I'm having a little trouble here getting these to line up right, but we'll get this working. But yeah, you start with what you remember and what you like, and then if you're just building as a hobby, you can start getting into building kits that you're like, oh, that just looks cool. I just want to get that. Like some of the modern stuff. Or like a cool thing about Gundam build fighters and build divers is fighters in particular does kind of cool, weird, fun, personalized takes on classic kits. Like, oh, it's the Wing Gundam, but it's not the Wing Gundam. Or, oh, it's kind of a Death Scythe, but it also has spider arms. So the Love Phantom is just like, okay, sure. It's kind of the Ultron Gundam, but it has different animal heads, not dragon heads. Cool. That Zoids order always confused me. Yeah, so basically, Zoids is the Chaotic Century was the first Zoid series in Japan. And it's the one that is like this post-apocalyptic where there are not a lot of there are not a lot of mechs around, and it kind of makes sense why the Liger has like this kind of is has a personality and kind of has whatever, and it's a whole thing, and there's magic involved, and like it's kind of a Gundam story in a way. It's and then that happens, and then they make a sequel, and it's like in the future of it, like where technology caught up again, and it's just a racing series. Uh, and then that one was aired on television in the United States first because it was the approachable one, because it was like it's people using mechs that look like animals to do stuff, and one of them is a little special and maybe has a soul. But we won't get into that too much. And then they were like, well, Zoids did really well. We sold a lot of toys, so let's put out that other Zoids. How do you feel about SD kits of known series designs like Wing? So, SD kits, chibi kits, my big thought is way too many stickers. I don't like that SD kits need stickers. Yeah, it makes sense for the eyes or whatever, but like they need so many stickers to be applied. I've built a few that felt like it was mostly stickers. I did the Crossbone and the Crossbone X, and that had a whole lot of stickers on it and felt like it was too much. I don't mind it. I think that those are fun. They're small. They're cute. And I like a Gundam you can have on your desk. I think that's totally fine. I do think the wildest thing in the world is it's not a good show, but the most recent Gundam SD show that was also Romance of the Three Kingdoms had a Gundam with a beard. It also had Lu Bu in it, but it had a Gundam with a beard, and I think that's just nonsense. It also made one of its main characters the Unicorn Gundam, which I'm like, all right, stop trying to make the Unicorn. Like, I get it, that's your main big Gundam, but come on. Harold just subscribed. Let's throw the Bear Cave Lego the Scythe emote in the chat. Let Harold know. Thank you very much. That's 36 months on a 34-month streak. That rules. Built my first SD. Man, it ain't meant for big hands. Yeah, no, you're totally right. But Harold, thank you so much for your continued support. It means so much to me. And thank you for renewing and letting us know. And welcome. Happy to have you, of course. But yes, SD Gundams are definitely a young person's game. I feel like if you have been doing kits for a while, they feel off. Okay, so when I do the other shoulder, I have to pay very close attention about how I put these these boosters in here in, because they can be put in incorrectly. My only real exposure to Z and Double Z are from Dynasty Warriors Gundam. So I'm like, oh yeah, the Titans and the Yellow Turban Rebellion faction. Yes, you can just learn about a Gundam wrong if you have access to outside media. Yeah, you could just be like, oh yeah, I know what that looks like. And you're like, oh no, I knew what a artistic license was used on this kit. I know that part. So F12, we're now going to put together an arm, so that's fun. We could do that right now. This is E. I'm like, why does this look wrong? It looked wrong, Pat, because it is wrong. Then we need F12 and F11 for the other one. So this is 12. We have an option of hands here. We only have the two options, but we'll figure out how we want to put these and how we want them to look. We'll do that. With MP3. Learn a Gundam was the one with that weird mustache. Yes, the Turn A. The Turn A, it has a mustache. The Turn A is the Future series. The Turn A and Turn X Gundams are from the future. We built a Turn A here on stream. It's one of the weirdest kits for a main Gundam. It is a series that has two Gundams in it, and the main Gundam does look like it has a mustache, and it also is one of the. It's just got legs for days. There are a couple Gundams out there over the years, like the Lock-On, that there are a couple out there that have like really long legs. Like the sniper units tend to have long legs because they want you to be able to do like the one knee bent crouch thing. But the Turn A is just all leg. It's so strange. And the chest didn't. I mean, it was a product of its time. That chest does not come together well. That was a bad. And that kit had some rough edges. But that is. I still love how weird it is. I wish I liked that series more because I just didn't really enjoy it at the time. But it's a weird show. I mean, it got a lot right with it, and it got a lot wrong with it. Okay. So that arm is done. We're going to go with the adjustable grippy hand here. Not grippy, but yeah, the one that can turn into a fist and has got some movement in it. And we will put this hand aside for now. And now we'll switch over and we'll build the components that we need to build from the stuff that we've already built here. And we'll add to it to complete the other arm. And we'll keep going. Oh, yeah, I said that I was watching a thing on DashCon, and that is just, like, I get it. Here's a piece of advice. Like, look, first off, conventions. Ha ha ha. Who's going to conventions? But when they come back, and they will certainly come back, a big thing is, if no one who is running your con has ever run a con before, don't go to that convention. Or at the very least, don't travel a long distance to go to that convention. Don't pre-order. A first-time con is a great con to roll up in on its second day. If it's a 2-day con, you roll up on Sunday when they have figured a lot of the stuff out from it. And if that con gets canceled after the first day, well, then you don't have to worry about it and you don't go. If you're going... if it's a 3-day con, and that's a red flag. If everyone's first convention is a 3-day convention, that is a big red flag. You don't go on Friday. You go on Saturday. But you hope that the people that are organizing it are like, we're doing our own thing. We started in this time, and we started in this place, and we learned from this convention. And you find out, you hope that they have experience in a bunch of different fields, and they did a lot of homework on how to run a con, and then you look to see, you Google all the people's names, and you're like, okay, what do these people do? Why are they doing this con? What were they like at the previous con? Have they been charged with grift, or have there been accusations of them being grifters, or any other thing? Did they leave a scene in disgrace and are starting over with your new convention? Like, what's the deal with these people? What are they up to? It's very important to go learn that if it's a new con, especially if they want money and various other things. Always good to look into that stuff. If people are dropping from the convention a couple of months ahead of time, if all of the big names are dropping, and maybe sometimes they'll flat out say, we're dropping because we didn't get paid in advance, and we said they have to be. Or there's a lot of other stuff that can come up with that. You look at all those things. These are important things to keep an eye out for a new con. Because enthusiasm means a lot, but enthusiasm doesn't replace any sort of expertise or knowledge or hard work. That stuff means a whole lot. It's like, who are the sponsors? Who is actually showing up? Do they have? Did they file paperwork? Is this a for-profit or is it a non-profit or is it a limited partnership? Are they not a non-profit? Are they, or they are for-profit, but they are putting all their money in investing in future shows. Uh, Lots of different things that need to be figured out before you decide to spend a bunch of time and energy going to a thing. These are just lots of things I have learned from many years of going to conventions and not getting refunds from small conventions that canceled the week before or the month before or during the con. Um, I've only tabled at a convention that was failing once, and that table did not cost me any money, and it was in Connecticut where I was living at the time. I had split a table with a friend, and they had paid the whole thing, so it cost them money. But they were like, "Hey, uh, do you want to come and help me out?" A friend of my, a mutual friend, had like shirts, and they were like, "Hey, would you help me out and run this booth for one day? I'll run it for the other. We'll split the profits, a percentage of the profits, and we've got half a booth for this thing. It's a small little comic convention. It's just starting up." So I was supposed to work the Sunday. She was going to come in on Saturday, figure everything out, set up. Saturday morning, it was going to be most of Saturday, and then it would be Sunday, and she would figure everything out and then let me know whatever. So I show up about towards the end of that day to, get a sense of what's going on there. I have a schedule, or I had a pass so I could walk around and maybe buy some stuff, but also that way like she can like hand over the money and tell me anything. And I get there and she's just like, "Hey, I don't need you tomorrow. I don't think they're going to open tomorrow. They didn't get enough people. They didn't sell enough tickets, and they don't think they can pay for the space for tomorrow because they were going to pay for that today. They had paid for one day in advance, and we're going to pay for Sunday with the money they made on Saturday, and then invest the Sunday money in there. And they did not make enough. They didn't think they were going to make enough money on Saturday to be able to pay for the Saturday." The Sunday room. So she was like, "You do not have to work for me tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then I went around and bought a couple things and helped her pack up her car at the end of the day. My school ran a convention that was an okay in between of it's run by clubs, so some people have some experience, but also new people who have enthusiasm but no experience. Plus, as a student, I had free admittance, but I did pay to run a table for 3 years in a row. So yeah, through a school, having access to, janitorial staff and security and a place, and having, like people who are enthusiastic about it, and also having be like at a certain point, you're like, well, at least it's like run by the school. Yeah, Lastbrook, it was a big oof. Like, I mean, I've been to I've almost been to cons before that like that day you get an email going like, "Hey, there's one was a Doctor Who fan convention. It was in Long Island, and about a week before they were like, we are canceling the convention. Um, uh, if you want to see either of the Bakers, they are going to be at," and it was basically this convention just fell apart. Everything got fucked up, and then the Bakers ended up going to a convention in New York City that would happen to be that way. Because they just happened to get booked at a convention last minute, and so I went to New York City that weekend and went to a much better convention, the one I was going to go to on Long Island. So I was happy about that. I couldn't get a refund on my train ticket for the Long Island Railroad, which was frustrating at the time, but it was still fine because I went to a cooler convention and got to see Tom Baker, so that was cool. Uh, but yeah, cons can be like, here's the thing. They cost a fuckload of money to do, and to get it together, and you need to know what you're doing, and you need to have a plan. And the real problem is, honestly, you have to do a convention that is smaller than you want the first time. And nobody wants to do a convention that is smaller than you want. You want to turn people away. You want to say, "I'm so sorry, we're at capacity." You want to have the problem of, "Oh my god, so many people showed up at the door. We can't let them all in. We have to turn people away." But you have to make it small enough because you need it to be that you don't have such an overhead that you can't continue to do things. Um, you can't. You need to have an overhead that you can like make your money back and bank some money, and then set up deals with the hotel to get a better rate for your following year. Yes, yes, turning people away can benefit you. It can turn against you, and that can be a problem. But it can benefit you. But the problem is doing something small isn't fun, and people like get bummed out about doing a small event. They want to do a big event. They want to sell out venues, and they want to have like breathing room and have it be like this huge thing. But a lot of times that's actually where people go wrong. Like your first con, if you have money, you get yourself the biggest name you can get that will help sell the con. Maybe that's one person. Maybe that's like, we have enough budget to get Welcome to Night Vale to come to our convention. That's going to be the biggest name we get. And then actually names that we would never think of, that we didn't even know do conventions, will ask about our convention because they want to be at the show that Welcome to Night Vale is at. So we'll get like podcasts from like 2 states over that has enough people, but they'll be very excited to be there. And our Artist Alley will get like a pretty cool amount of just random people that just do any convention they can do. And we'll get like a Power Ranger from a season that nobody remembers, the one where they were cops. Like we'll get one of those Power Rangers, because you can always get a Power Ranger, and we'll get like enough people, but then we'll get like one thing that like really excites folks, like, and it'll make it worth its while. And that way, because the thing that some people do is they're like, we're gonna have a star-studded panels, and we're going to spend all this money, and we're going to get like, we'll pay for their hotels because we'll do this big thing, we'll sell all these tickets. And that's where folks run into a lot of trouble, because once you start spending a lot of money, like people cancel. And so you're really hoping that that big name that you booked doesn't cancel, but you're okay if a bunch of other people do, because you'll scramble and you'll figure things out. But a lot of people run into that thing of like, we're going to pay all our panelists. I mean, that rules. And I'm not saying don't pay people to do work. I am saying when you start paying for every panelist's hotel room and every panelist, like, do guests of honor. Pay for, like, if you're doing a comics convention, and pay for Kate Leth to come. Pay for Jen Bartel to come. Pay for, like, cool, queer, interesting artists and writers to come to your thing, right? Because those people are going to bring folks that want to spend money and want to come see them. But don't spend all of your money to get like a dozen like Marvel and DC artists who do every convention and charge people like $500 for a full commission. You want to get like cool, interesting names. You get Erica Hernandez, or Henderson, sorry, Erica Henderson, because like people fucking love Squirrel Girl, so you get her, and it's just like that's like, and it's not gonna be a lot for you to get her. It's not gonna be ridiculous, but it will attract people who are very interested in your thing. And yeah, a lot of folks make mistakes, like simple mistakes on that. They overspend expecting to have a very successful convention. And that's like not going to work. If you're going to do a comics convention, you know who you give a free table to? the second most popular comic shop in your area. Not the most popular, the second most popular comic shop in your area, you give a free table to. Because you know what they'll do in exchange for that free table? They'll let you put up a good-sized poster on their door, and maybe even a standee. And maybe they'll let you, they'll help you by selling tickets to your event. You give them a stack of tickets, and people can go and get them there. And then and maybe it's no skin off their nose if someone goes, oh, what's that? And you go, oh yeah, we have a table at this convention. It's new. Like, that's cool because they know it's a free table for them to push, and they'll bring over an upcharge, and they won't sell a lot at your new convention, but they'll sell enough that they'll be happy about it. And you get free advertisement from them for the cost of a table. And they can put some stuff and mark up a few things and get people that... There are people who go to conventions that never step foot in a comic book shop or a video game store. That's the other thing. For a great people to get to try to get to come to and sell things at your convention, your little tiny convention you're just figuring out how to do, is not GameStop, but like if your area, any surrounding area, has a like vintage game store or an independent owned game store. They know that there are people that will never step foot in their store, but at a convention, they'll be going, you know what? I do want Samba de Amigo. I do want to buy those. I do want a DDR pad. I do want a Kirby plushie. I've never wanted that before, but I'm at this convention and I see these things and I want them. Those small video game places love comic conventions or small fan conventions because they don't have to be the thing that you associate with this convention. Like, video games sell at sci-fi conventions all the time. And people go like, why is there a video game store here? Well, because people like video games. And they might just go and stop in. Because they were like, I don't want to buy a poster. I don't want to, I have too many posters. We're not buying any posters at this con. And you're like, oh, okay. And you're like, but we could buy some N64 games. That'd be cool. Let's buy some N64 games. That sounds fun. These are things that like eventually I've learned a lot of stuff about working at conventions, volunteering at conventions, and then being a person at conventions. You learn quite a bit. A thing that people do not you learn the convention. So this is a big thing when I talked about panels, right? A failure that some people do is they spend a lot of money to get big names for their panels. You got to know is your convention a convention where people go to panels. After the first year, you'll have a sense. Emerald City Comic Con, one of the best conventions I've ever been to. No one goes to panels. They go, they shop, they hang out, they go to dinner, they go home. Then maybe they hang out in their hotels and play board games or drink. They don't go to panels. I had a panel that was like real. I helped run a panel. It had a really great attendance. It was Saturday at 6 p.m. And I went, oh, that sucks. It's so early for our late night panel. And they were like, hey, you got a prime time for a new panel, Saturday at 6 p.m. That's the last panel of the night. And I was like, oh. And they were like, yeah. And we half filled the room. And it was a good sized room. We half filled it. And they were like, wow, that's a lot of people for the first panel. And I was like, oh. My expectations are from going to PAX and conventions where people go to panels and love panels. But that's not Emerald City Comic Con. And so some people are just like, yeah, I only do like one panel and it kind of is a favor and it's mostly to see some friends. Because like I do, the idea of not being at my table for over an hour it's not worth it. But other conventions, like if you're at New York Comic Con and you do any panel at New York Comic Con, you are going to bring so many people to your booth because New York Comic Con is so big that people don't know where things are or what things are, and it is a form of direct advertising that you are there and doing stuff. If you can be like, I have a panel, or sorry, I have a table. Come to my table. It ends up being really big. Uh, but yeah, these are all just like things that I've gotten, I've picked up over the years of working honestly very big conventions and then attending very small conventions. I miss them. I love conventions. I always loved attending them. I do very much miss uh, being able to be at them. The fact that I've already missed 3 conventions this year is such a bummer. Plus more, I'm sure. But there were 3 that I would have been at, and 2 I would have worked at, and 1 I would have done panels at, and probably done at least another panel. Anime NYC, I was had a pretty good shot at getting a panel in this year. Besides working there, and definitely missed that. And then PAX Unplugged, I'll also be missing, and that's a bummer. They just never announced PAX Unplugged, so they didn't have to uh, announce it was canceled, which I think was very smart because they look at a certain point. They knew that hey, end of November is probably not going to be good. Right now it says TBD. I just want to look. It says registration open soon is what they said. Now it says TBD. Originally they had the dates, but uh, but it was just really fun because they were like not putting any information out about like are they going to have panels or they're not going to have panels, and eventually they're just like let's just not say anything and then we'll see. Yeah, I mean, like the nice thing is that years of doing convention work and being at the places, I have quite a bit of experience when it comes to these things. Uh, and like I said, I'm not expecting anybody here to be running a convention, but like I can at least let you know if like you're gonna take if you're gonna take like a leap. Like never fly to a first year convention unless they are paying, unless you know for sure that they are like Geeks Out does FlameCon, right? I knew the first FlameCon was going to be good because Geeks Out is a group that knows conventions. A lot of them had worked at conventions before. They had a track record. I knew that they would do a quality show their first show out because they had they had a proven track record and they had a lot of experience. It was in my city, I would have flown to the first FlameCon because, like, I knew that would be good. But there are other conventions that their first con, there's no way I would travel to go there. There's just no way. And if they were like, oh, we'll pay for your hotel room, we'll pay for your train or flight or whatever, I'd be like, cool. And then I would call the hotel and make sure that it was actually paid for and be like, okay, it's not like, oh yeah, they're going to pay for it at the end of the convention. But like, no, they paid for my room in advance, right? Because I have heard plenty of horror stories of folks just being like, hey, my key card doesn't work. Yeah, they haven't given us money, so you have to give us money now or you can't go into your room. All right, so I've got to put a sticker on this, and we'll do that now. Stickers that curve, definitely not my favorite. Certainly not. Also, this is the era where they just use symbols to denote instead of numbers to denote stickers, and that is a little frustrating. Oh, this is a shepherd's pie accident. It is a cooking accident, in case anybody was wondering why I've got that there. Cut myself on a knife. It's okay. Nothing bad, nothing serious, but it didn't look great, and I didn't want you to see it. So put a Band-Aid on, which at the time felt like the right thing to do. I still think it was. Okay. There we go. Have a great night, Harold. Thanks for being here, and thank you for renewing your subscription. As always, my friend. Hope to see you soon. Um, we will take a pause for the calls in a moment or two. I'll talk about ways you can support the channel if that's something you'd like to do. I am going to get this sticker on here first, though. Yeah, it's got to go like this. Yeah. As I said, I don't necessarily love stickers like this. Just going to wrap around. Try to keep it taut as possible. And this is also a almost 20-year-old sticker. Staying on cons, I've run a panel before, and I'm sure there are more in the future. Any tips how to treat guests on your panel, on stage and off stage? Well, so I am, because I come from the world of comedy theater, the number one thing I hear from people at conventions that I am, is that I am, oh shit, did I put the wrong one on here? I did. The number one thing I hear from folks is, "Oh wow, you're so on top of things. Um, you're on top of emails. You have a schedule. You let me know what the panel is. You sent an email the day of to remind me about the panel and where it is, and like if the room the panel is in a strange place, you gave me directions, or like at PAX West, you were like, hey." It's this hotel. There are several hotels that are the Marriott. It's this Marriott or whatever. So I like to be on top of things. I like to be organized when I run panels. That comes from my years of producing comedy. So that I think is a very important thing. Um, uh, you don't have to do it in person. You can do it via email, but I think it's fucking rad if you can be like, hey, like in your email thing, like, let me know if you have if what your pronouns are, what you'd be like to, what credits you would like me to give, because some people are like, don't mention that don't mention my Twitter, it's weird. Mention my Instagram, mention my Twitch. Don't mention my Twitch. Don't talk about this thing because I don't talk about it anymore. Like you can find out what people want, you to promote and call them. But yeah, I mean, really treat a panel like you are producing an event. The other thing is, don't go over time. The person that is giving you the symbol to wrap up is a volunteer, most likely. Sometimes they pay, most of the time they're volunteer. And the person before you took forever to set up and took forever to get off the stage and went over. And don't be that person. Be the best panel as far that day as far as staff is concerned. If you're the best panel, the staff is concerned, it opens so many doors. Because then you're the person that people are like, oh, cool, instead of the person that are like, oh, no. Because sometimes they don't ask how many people showed up. They ask, was that guy an asshole? And so don't be an asshole. It works out pretty good for you. Oh, yes. There was a question about shepherd's pie. Yeah, basically, shepherd's pie is like, what if instead of a pot pie, you just didn't do a pie crust? You just took a bunch of ingredients, generally beef, and usually a gravy and vegetables, peas, carrots, potatoes. You want to do parboiled potatoes, and then or in this case, mashed potatoes instead of the parboiled potatoes, and then you cover it in mashed potatoes like it is a topping, and then you bake it. And some people put cheese on top. I do Parmesan cheese because that is how we like it here in this house. And it is very good. It's very hearty. It doesn't take too long. I did, and it turns out real good. And it is one of those dishes that is so good on reheat, and that is awesome. It's very good because it kind of congeals and condenses in the fridge. But yeah, I think that's it for con advice. Okay. Uh, if you're going to do a Q&A, one, I don't recommend them. I have my personal feelings about Q&As are that I don't like them, but that's just me. Uh, um, but some people have no problem with them. But if you're going to run a Q&A, just be like, hey, we're looking for questions, not statements. Uh, we're looking for questions about what we talked about, not your opinion on or a follow-up that you want to give on what we talked about during the panel. If you want to give your opinion on what we talked about, I will be available after the panel and point to where you will be, and they can come and approach you, because you don't want to make panel Q&A story time, and that is the thing. And if you say that, and then you have to stick to it, and I think that's fine. Treat it like you're running a whole event. Yeah. So, yeah, you handle your logistics. I mean, when I say like run it like it's a thing, like I'm saying like consider it like a job, right? It's not just I know what we're going to talk about here. It's I went into the room ahead of time to scope out the room. Okay. All right. So I know what the room looks like. I know how many seats we need. I know to ask, ooh, they only have 2 microphones. Let me ask between panels if they have a third mic, because we have 3 people. Do we have to share mics? Can they get it? Do they take a mic away because there's only 2 people on stage? What's going on? You find out. You logistically. They said there'd be a projector. I don't see a projector. Let me ask in between panels if they have a projector, because maybe they move it around and I can talk to the person, or they're going to be there later. Okay, cool, because I do need that, or I don't need that, but it would be nice to have. Oh no, they didn't put me in the room that has that is wheelchair accessible. One of my panelists or someone I know is coming is in a wheelchair. I have to get this panel moved, or I have to see if they can set up a ramp. I'm sure the person I talked to on email 3 months ago said it'd be no problem, but I bet they're not here, or I bet they forgot that about my email because they're juggling a lot. Like, you just have to treat it like it is. This thing is another job that you're doing. Your job is you are a panel producer. And if it's a lot, and you try to get a friend to produce your panel for you, because you're like, this is too much. I need to focus on my material. Then you get an assistant to help you with the odds and ends. And then good luck. But doing panels at cons is really fun, because you meet really neat people, and people come out and enjoy what you do, and it's nice. And if you've done stuff that people like in the past, they'll be able to come in and say, hey, I like what you do. Make sure everything you need is there and ready to go. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're just like, it's just like you have a checklist. And what some people do is they show up for their panel 30 minutes ahead of time, which is great, or 15 minutes ahead of time, which is bad, and they go, oh, you don't have this? Oh, you don't have that? Oh, we need this. And you're like, yikes. Yeah, knowing the stuff ahead of time is great. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, what you don't want to do is be surprised, because then you're making your tech, or who is maybe a paid person, maybe they're a great volunteer. Like if you get to FlameCon and you're working at the performance stage, you're gonna have someone like me there who is very skilled, and this is what they do for a living, and they know exactly what you need, and they can get adapters together because they brought a backpack full of gear, and they can get your accordion mic'd because you forgot to bring your mic pad. Silver Streak's hosting the stream. Thank you so much, Silver Streak, for hosting. Appreciate that very much. Welcome, welcome. All right. We're going to take a pause here, folks. We're going to take a pause for the cause. I do this every stream. It's going to be very brief. I'm just going to talk about ways you can support the channel if you would like to support the channel. Talking about con stuff, and I got distracted, but we got to do this. You're under no obligation to do any of this stuff. What I'm going to talk about here, this is all bonus stuff. If you're not currently following my channel, please give me a follow. That way you know when I stream, because it's Monday, Thursday, Saturday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I build model kits. And then on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, I do something else. Yes, indeed. It does. It certainly does. You're not wrong. I'm throwing the Baer Cave, the Lego, the site, the emote in the chat. If you're currently a subscriber, you can throw those emotes. Becoming a subscriber is a great way to support what I do because I build model kits. I'm going to adjust this camera up a little bit. Oop, bounce down. I build model kits on this stream. I got to keep buying model kits. Yes, a cause pause. Yeah, pause for the cause. But yeah, being a subscriber is a great way to support what I do here. Gifting a sub. It is November, so you could join the sub, gift a sub to somebody in chat, and join the leaderboard there. You could also cheer. Bits and coins are always appreciated. Anything I make on Patreon or Twitch goes into me buying kits and equipment. Speaking of which, I have a Patreon. This is $1, $3, $5, and $10 tiers. It's a great way to support what I do. If you don't want to go through Amazon, through Twitch, Silver Streak to subscribe with Prime for 10 months. Sorry you dealt with me and my broken auto-renew butt for so long. Do not worry about it. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing for 10 months. Appreciate it very much. I'm going to throw the applause on my soundboard. Silver Streak, I appreciate that. Thanks for renewing. But yeah, if you use Amazon Prime and you have Prime Gaming, you can do that. That is another way. Because otherwise, here's the thing: if you have that token and you don't use it, then you can't steal money from Jeff Bezos. So please steal money from Jeff Bezos. Also, like I said, I have a Patreon, and there are tiers for that. If you're watching this later on YouTube, because my YouTube archives go up, you can find all the links I'm posting in the show description below. But yeah, there are different tiers. If $1 or $3 makes more sense, that you can do that. Also, direct donations go into a fund, and I will build model kits with money from that fund. Folks, you might not know this. I posted on Twitter. I bought the Sega Saturn model kit in the past, and we built that on stream. I bought the PlayStation, the Sony PlayStation, the original PlayStation model kit. I bought that. I'm going to build that in the future. That came out of funds that supplied by wonderful folks like you. That came from my Patreon money. But yeah, buying kits is expensive, and I got to keep buying kits. I signed up for this. I understand it. But if you wanted to buy a kit and I would build it ahead of stuff, I'd build it before I build anything else on my backlog. Well, you could buy something on Amazon.com. And we'll get back to building really soon. Don't you worry. But I got to do my ad reads. But if you go to that, you can pre-order some stuff. You can buy very inexpensive Lego sets, more expensive model kits, high grades, master grades, equipment at the very bottom. If you're like, I don't know what to buy you for a kit, Pat, but this $16 ring light would probably help you out a lot, so I'll get that. These are things you could do. But if you buy a kit, it comes from there. It jumps the queue. I build it before I build anything else that I have. So there's a few things that I added pretty recently, look pretty cool, including a high grade of the Gundam Build Fighters Burning Gundam. That's right. It's from Gundam Build Fighters Try, and it is a take on the Burning Gundam. That's a high grade of that. I just added that to the list because that just looked rad. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there. And if you buy something like that, it comes to me, and I build it on stream. An alternative to that, if you're looking for alternatives, is buy a gift card from USA Gundam Store. You buy a gift card from their website, and you get it in your email. You get a code in your email, and then you can whisper me on Twitch or Twitter. It's convoluted because you can't just buy something from a wish list and then it comes to me. You have to go through an extra step of getting the code in your email and then sending me a whisper or a DM, a whisper on Twitch, a DM on Twitter. That's how that works. That's an alternative. If you're looking for something else there, and I'll buy something from there, and then I'll build it on stream. I have a Discord. You could join my Discord. That's free. If you were like, Pat, everything you just mentioned here costs me money. Well, Discord's free. I post build photos at the end of every stream. I post links to videos that I've made, which I'm not going to be posting here, but I also post there every time. It's a good way to keep up with what I'm going on with me. While I do have a new episode of Pat Bear's Anime Club coming out on Monday, my last episode of Pat Bear's Anime Club might be worth your time. I talk about pet peeves, just stuff that's real irking me about anime. It's pretty lighthearted, but yeah, it's just stuff that I'm like, anime. Um, Also, I have Baering the List. And I just put up a new episode of Baering the List, my weekly series where I use Tier Maker to rank things. Well, my latest episode, which went up yesterday, is all about the final evolutions of Pokemon starters from Gen 1 up until Sun Moon, because I haven't played Sword Shield. So I can only talk about the final evolutions in Sun Moon. So I talk about all of those. A long time ago, when I first started this project, I did the starter Pokemon and their first evolutions. Now I'm doing, or their first things. Now I'm doing the final evolution of those, and I rank them. And if you hate fire Pokemon, this might not be the video for you, because I fucking love fire Pokemon. Fire starters are great Pokemon, and so I maybe skew a little too much towards those. But I still think it's worth checking out. I'm going to drink a little water, and then I'm going to get back to building, because that's important. And I'm also going to talk about anime that I watched since Monday's stream, because that is a thing I do on this stream, is I talk about the anime that I've been watching and kind of give you my thoughts on it. And sometimes people have also watched the episode of the thing I'm talking about, and they can be like, Pat, I disagree with you. Or, yeah, wasn't that some bullshit? And there are some folks out there, oops, I did not update my, I apologize. Nightbot did not update, so my shows that I watched are inaccurate, so I'll paste them differently. So I apologize for that. It looks like it didn't take, so that is what I watched for Monday's stream, which is different from right now. Here are the shows I watched. So sorry about that. I goofed. Sometimes I goof, y'all. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I mess up. Okay, so let's talk about these shows and what I thought of them. First thing, we'll talk about Black Clover. Y'all, okay, so right now Black Clover is in a not fun period for the show. Okay, so we have finished this. We are now going to work on one of the legs. Yeah, we've assembled both arms. It's time to work on the leg, but we are just doing, I guess, all of one leg and all the other. None of these parts are, oh, no, okay. Yeah, so we'll get this together. We're not doing two of these, so we're just going to do one of these, so we'll get that together. Okay. Sorry. So, Black Clover is in a period where they are doing filler material. They did a full arc. It was a full unique story. It was not good, and I was bummed about it. It had lots of things I do not like characters that were clearly there just to go away because they don't need to become part of the story, because they are invented by the anime and not part of the manga. So the later material they're adapting will not include them because they're not in the manga. It also featured tragic queer characters and a show that has little to no queer characters in it. It was a real fucking bummer to have them be there. So that storyline was bad, and I did not enjoy it, and I glad it's over. But we're still in filler. We are in the training. Basically, the manga has a time skip, and the anime is trying to fill in some of the blanks of the time skip, which I don't hate. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. But you end up with a bunch of episodes where nothing really happens. Like, they're not going to spoil the cool abilities that people learn. They'll hint at them, but they won't spoil them. So, like, the first part of this episode is Gray, who's one of my favorite minor characters. It's her realizing that she needs to change because other people are getting stronger and she's not. And she has to get over her issue. Now, Gray is one of those characters who is overpowered, but is balanced from being a completely overpowered character by their personality, like a fault. So, Gray has two incredibly overpowered abilities. One is she can mimic and disguise herself as other people and become that other person, just about become that other person, and then she can use the magic those people have. She can copy their abilities while she's looking like that person. That's hugely overpowered. Her other ability is if she touches a form of magic, she can change its properties. So she can augment magic and change it around. Um, like there was this sticky goo thing that they couldn't deal with, and she changed its elemental properties to make it into wood so that another person who has poison magic and curse magic could poison it. That's hugely overpowered. So she's an overpowered character, so what does she need to do to make her not so overpowered? She hates it when people look at her. She can't stand it. She gets very embarrassed. She just kind of like gets really small and freaks out and can't handle attention. So that has limited her in her abilities, and that is her big thing. So she wants to get over that. She goes to various characters to try to get over those problems. Guess what? By the end of it, nothing changes. It's the same. We are back to the same. She still has the same problems. She solves none of the problems that she had because she can't solve any of the problems that she had. There's some fun stuff with Gordon trying to help her by like he's got a bunch of voodoo dolls, but they look like voodoo dolls, but they're not. He just has dolls of all his friends, and so she can talk to the dolls, and that's not a problem. And there's a bunch of stuff with my least favorite character in the whole thing. Gotch shows up, and Gotch sucks, so that makes it a bummer. It's a real bummer. I'm not describing it well because it was bad. But that's only the first half of the episode. The second half of the episode, if that's something you're like me and you're watching the whole thing, even though it is kind of a bummer, you're going to keep watching. Second half of the episode is about the Blue Roses. Now, I will say this. So the Blue Roses are led by Charlotte. Almost everyone in this crew are ladies. And they have a few men, but the men don't go to battle. They don't do it. They don't go on missions. They just like tend to the house. And so it has a reputation of being like a place if you are like sick of men and you don't want to deal with men, you go there. And then we found out pretty recently that a lot of them have secret boyfriends. And they wish that the people could be more open. Because Charlotte's big thing is she's in love with Yami, who is like a foreigner. He's in charge of the Black Bulls. He's an idiot and can't tell that she's in love with him. So it doesn't, to me, it's like I can imagine some of these characters being like, well, I joined the squad because I think there's powerful ladies here, but really, I have a secret boyfriend. The fact that most of them have secret boyfriends or want to date just seems like, come on. That's the least believable thing about this anime about magical wizards and elves and stuff. The idea that there is that the clearly bisexual or lesbian crew has just a bunch of girls who were like, I have a boyfriend, and I don't but I'm so happy I can openly date him. Anyway, that's a weird thing. That's a weird aside. Blue Roses want to do a joint training session so that Charlotte and Yami can spend time together, but also so they can, hang out with that squad because they think it actually benefit them. And Charlotte trips, and Yami ends up in the Kabudan position. Now, if you know anime, specifically romance anime, specifically manga, you know about the Kabudan position, even if you don't know the name. It's that thing where a girl is against a wall, and then a guy leans on the wall and maybe even abruptly or like a locker and slams his arm so that like the girl can't escape. So they accidentally do that pose, which is weird, but like fine. It's like a cute little moment because she like freaks out. But it is weird that it's in there. But like that's a very like telltale like not telltale not that kind of thing, but like it's a very like thing that just like this happens a lot in anime. It is like a staple. That's the word I was looking for. It's a staple of anime. And so that was like fine that was there. Um, Also, the next episode might be fun because it is going to be some sort of all-out battle between all of the captains. Some sort of like battle royale of the captains to like show people like to help with their training, and then also like some sort of entertainment for the people who just dealt with a terrorist invasion, uh, and maybe that will like make them like think like, oh, check out how cool our magic knights are. The captains are pretty rad of the squads. So that's that. Kuma 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 Baer. Uh, why is it there are two right now? There are two isekais, where this one and by the Grace of the Gods last episode, or that has elements of, or 2 episodes ago, Grace of the Gods, where a major plot point of the show is that embezzlement. Embezzlement of funds is a major point of this episode. Uh, there's a whole thing about like getting eggs is really hard, and Yuna wants eggs, but it's hard to get those because like it's you have to pay a lot for the transportation cost to get them from this village. Yuna meets some orphans, which is like, oh, there's an orphanage, and Yuna helps out a lot of people. So she ends up helping them temporarily, but they've lost funding from the Lord of the Land, Cliff, who we met in a previous episode. We met Cliff. He's got a daughter that really wanted to meet Yuna because she really likes Yuna's bear style, which I understand. And Yuna is not trusting of like this Lord of the Land, but seems like maybe he's an okay guy. But she gets really mad that that he stopped giving funds to this orphanage. That like they're not worth it. She's like fucking pissed off about that. But it also, so she sets up the orphanage with let them sell eggs. Like I got these chickens. You can now raise eggs. You're gonna have to work. These kids are gonna have to work, but they can get the money they need to survive, and they can be independent of, charity. So they're working. They're figuring it out. They have means of production, and and then she sets it up that Yuna's mom, who needs a job, Yuna's mom has been sick. Last episode was the real tearjerker, where they managed to Yuna managed to cure Fina's mom. So Fina's mom's looking for work, and so she's going to be in charge of like distribution and getting sales and working with the guild, and it's all this stuff. And then Yuna has harsh words for Cliff, and it becomes clear that Cliff did not know that this embezzlement was happening. That like they basically introduced a character to be like, and it's this fucking guy. He's doing it. And he gets punched by Cliff. He gets cold cocked by Cliff because they really want you to be like, please don't hate this guy. But he apologizes for not understanding what was going on and letting it happen underneath his watch. And that's kind of the end of the episode. I think it's still bad that it ends with the orphans having to work and like take care of chickens in order to survive. That's still not great, I would say, but it's certainly better off than they were before. And Yuna has definitely has a soft spot for kids. It's very adamant or very apparent in these episodes that she really really wants to help out kids. That is like a common theme of this show. Is that when push comes to shove, she's looking out for folks. Kids should be smiling and happy. Is basically her thing. You get a sense that maybe she had a tough childhood, because the thing we do know about Yuna is that she is independently wealthy. She made money on the stock market before she got isekai'd into this magical somewhat like a video game world. I'm having a lot of trouble trying to get this piece exactly how I need it here. And it does feel like it would be important for this to fit right. So I apologize. I'm taking my time with this, getting this set how it should be set, because I'm not exactly sure how it should be set. I'm going to look ahead a little bit here. Okay. All right, I think that's right. No, because that doesn't sit right. Maybe that is right. All right, that doesn't look wrong, so we'll find out later if I'm fucking this up. Anyway, Noblesse. So I don't really like the twin vampires in this show. I do like Rye, the main vampire, because I like how quiet he is. And I think Frankenstein is a cool character. This episode had a lot to do with M21, the augmented human, kind of like figuring out, like, am I going to help these people? Am I going to hurt these people? What am I doing here? Why am I here? What is my purpose? They said they give me information. Am I going to turn on my back, like turn his back on people for a while, and then has a bit of a change of heart? And it's a little hit or miss. We are getting some good action. We'll get even more good action in this next episode, because the Rye, the master vampire, the Noblesse, is about to do some shit. He's about to get involved. Loner ATO is now following. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that, Loner. Is this where I should go? Yeah. So, yeah, overall, I'm like, I like Noblesse. I'm getting a little, like, tired of a major component of it being this character arc for the augmented human guy M21. Like, I'm a little over that. But for the most part, I'm still liking the show. But like I said, I'm just like a little tired of some of the plot that they seem really interested, or character development they seem very interested in. Like this feud between the male vampire dude whose name I can't remember, I apologize, and M21. Like, their constant bickering is like a lot of what the show is right now. And I'm like, I would like these guys to get mutual respect for one another very soon, so that I have less of this argument stuff that I am not interested in. We'll see if we get that. All right, I figured out these arm pieces so we can move on. To me, we're moving on. See the weapons. Get a little taste of that. Getting some lovely color photos. We got our mine whip, our chain mine whip, the rockets, the shotgun, the launchers on the leg. Yes, the kettle mines, the chain mine, the backpack, which puts all there. Yeah, there's a lot of very good weapons on this kit that we will be spending some time putting together some weapons. The last anime I want to talk to you about today is a show called Anime KAPIBARASAN. Is this a show for children? Yes. Is every episode very short? Yes. Is it still goddamn adorable? 100%. This is still one of the cutest shows out this season. I highly recommend it. It is a 2-minute show. Yeah, it's a 2-minute show, and totally worth your time. It is a cute little story about some sort of animal refuge where there are a lot of capybaras. KAPIBARASAN is the biggest and oldest capybara, but there's also a lot of little ones. Today's episode, because it comes out at like 7:30 at night Eastern time on Thursdays. Oops. Ooh. Wanna, sorry. Cover up my cut. My cover that. Sorry. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep talking as I fix this, but I don't want to go here. Be right back. Sorry. I'm gonna keep talking here. My Band-Aid got caught and came off. Pretty much came off. So I am going to put it back on so that we don't see the cut that I have from my paring knife as I was preparing food for shepherd's pie. You can see a photo of that shepherd's pie on my Twitter. I apologize for that. And I am back. Sorry about that. Had to reapply it. We're all good. Should be fine on Saturday. Hopefully won't need the Band-Aid, but still want to. Now I know for Saturday to have a second Band-Aid in case I do get this caught. That's a weird thing to think about, but okay. All right, so let's apply this and I'll talk about. So this episode of Anime KAPIBARASAN was about a llama. We met the llama in the last episode. There is a llama, and this llama, we found out that this llama is sometimes very helpful, but other times its attempts to help are not needed. That's basically it. It means well, but sometimes it's like, oh, they're all sleeping on top of one another. I'll sleep on top of them, so they're nice and warm. And they're like, we can't breathe like this. What are you doing? And then he was like helping a capybara get an apple. Then he got distracted, and that capybara is now stuck in a tree. It's just like cute little things. The show is very light and very cute, and it's just like, hey, here's an animal. Here's some stuff about this animal. Cool. See you next episode. It is very cute, and I like it very, very much. So if you're looking for an anime about, or a cute anime about a capybara and a big capybara, a medium-sized capybara, and a bunch of tiny capybara, well, then Anime KAPIBARASAN is the show for you. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. And that's the anime I wanted to talk about since since last time, that I watched since Monday. Yeah, that's it. And we got some time left on the stream to talk about other things. We want to talk about other things. My next stream, we got a little time here. My next stream is going to be on Saturday. It'll be, I will be streaming Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern till 11 p.m. Eastern, as is my tradition. And I will continue to work on this kit because this is going to take a little while. It is a master grade after all, and it has, some complexities to it. Some of the stuff will come together pretty easy. Some won't. It's still we're doing all the arms, and then we're going to do all of the legs, and then probably the chest, and then the head, and then the waist, or some variation of that. But yeah, you got to go through all this. It's a slow process as I kind of figure these things out. Also, as I said, it doesn't help much that there's very little English in these kits, which at the time it was pretty standard. And now you're like, oh, there's a lot of English in model kits, but there wasn't at the time that this kit came out. Because it is a kit from 2001, and that's a while ago. Can remember. Sometimes that doesn't feel like a long time ago, and sometimes that does feel like ages ago. It's weird. Sometimes I know exactly where I was when this kit came out, and it doesn't feel, but it also feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, this was at a period where I had stopped building model kits. I stopped around 2000 or so when I moved to New York. I took some kits with me when I moved to New York, but I didn't start buying other ones. There were places I could buy them, certainly, but I didn't have a lot of room in my apartment, and I didn't have a lot of money. And so those are two very good reasons to stop building model kits. Uh, so then I just did other things and found other hobbies, uh, and then made, yeah, just like, and then eventually it was just not a thing I did anymore. And then I missed it quite a bit, and I've been very happy to return to it. All right, so this is going to go over here. This can go aside. So that's going to go there. This thing we haven't used yet. Put that aside. And as always with these kits where I'm like, not quite sure what this means, not quite sure what that is, take my time the first time I do it, and then when we do the other arm or leg, it's a lot easier because I'm like, oh yeah, I get this. I get what they were asking me to do. So we need B16 and B24. It's over here. Let me know, folks. What are you playing right now? Anybody playing any video games? Watching any TV? Into anything? I'm trying to log into Hearthstone every day to get my gold for doing quests because there's a new expansion coming out, and so I want to get a lot of. I want to get some gold together to buy packs when the new expansion comes out. Because want to get some new cards, play around with some new decks. Try to get at least a couple legendaries. Try to figure out what the legendary I definitely want is. Augment the decks I already have. Try a new style deck, that kind of thing. So yeah, I've been logging in every day. And Like a Dragon is the next game that I'm like, this is the game that I want as soon as possible. Please, can I have it now? The PC version, I should say, at least, because I am not expecting to get any new consoles. But yeah, if you're playing anything or you're watching anything, let me know what you're all about in the chat for the last little bit of the stream. We can talk about stuff. Or if you're just like, I'm just waiting for Bug Snacks, I totally get it. I think Like a Dragon is the game that I'm getting, and then Bug Snacks is the game that I would get, like, if suddenly I'm in a good spot to be able to afford another game. But it's looking like the big purchase that I'm going to make is that. I think, like, Bug Snacks is like it looks very cool, and I would definitely want to play it, but I think right now I have to like figure out, like, okay, well, what am I actually going to get? And I think it's Like a Dragon, because I just think I'm definitely going to love Like a Dragon. So I reinstalled BattleTech because it's a good podcast game. Hell yeah, Lastbrook. I mean, honestly, Hearthstone is a good, like, watching something on Twitch, or is a good, like, podcast is happening. Today during the Giant Beast cast, I spent quite a bit of time playing Hearthstone. But yeah, that is, yeah, BattleTech. There's something definitely to be said about podcast games. All right. But yeah, I got a couple things. Next Wednesday is going to be my next stream to play whatever people, like whatever my chat chooses, or not chat, to play whatever is chosen by my patrons. My $3, $5, and $10 patrons are going to pick what I play next Wednesday, and I've got a few options there. And the following week, I'm going to play Hearthstone because the new expansion will have been out for a day, or it came out that day or something. I think it'll be out for a day, so that'll be good. I'll go check that out. And all right, trying to get this on. This is weird. I'm a little confused about how these pieces go together. I apologize. This is like, yeah, this comes together weird. We'll see if I can. What is this? Sorry. Okay. But yeah, is anybody else playing anything? Feel free to let me know. If you're not playing anything, that's also totally okay. If you're just waiting for new stuff, if anybody pre-ordered any of the consoles, or you're just gonna try to hopefully get a next if new pre-orders get released, if people don't pick up their things or whatever or cancel, and there's suddenly new pre-orders, if that's what you're waiting for, you can let me know that. Do you have no plans to get next generation consoles? I like the controllers. Look at the controllers, but I also have a controller that works really well. I think um, my Xbox One controller is great, and I use that for games here on the PC. So I'm not looking. Okay, I got it. That took way too long to do. Apologies. I had put these in wrong. Put this in wrong. So no, I won't make this right there. Great. So now the rockets can kind of come out. That looks neat, and go back in. Got that component done. Cool. Oh, more screws. Weird. It's almost like this kit needs a lot of screws. We knew that. We knew that going in, that this kit required screws to work because it is a kit from the year 2001. And this was their solution to kits being unstable and being wobbly was, well, we'll put support screws in. Because they kind of did that with the G Gundam series and the not the Wing, but the G Gundam series had quite a few, and then Gundam X kits I think had screws. Yes, I want to say they did. I don't remember. Maybe they didn't. Maybe that was a thing. But then they went back to adding screws to things. They were like, that was a good idea what we did before when we had the screws. That was a good thing. We were doing the right thing there. All right, so put this here. And as far as I can tell, it does make the kit sturdy. So it does work. So I'm not like mad about it. It's just it is a weird thing. Also, I remember they had it on the on G Gundam because I did the Shining Gundam. Was the first kit I built, and I didn't have a screwdriver with me, so I had to jump to another part of the kit that didn't involve screws, and then go back in the kit because I was shooting this. I was streaming on location because my internet was very bad at my apartment at the time. So I had access to a space where I could stream and had very good internet. So I brought my laptop and all my gear there and streamed on location. Uh, and that worked out good, but it did mean that I didn't have a screwdriver with me because hadn't looked at all to see that, like, oh, I'm going to need a screwdriver for this. It hadn't occurred to me that that would be a thing that I needed. So I had to deal with that later. So we're just going to put these screws in. We're going to try to be pretty gentle with this. Kind of get these lined up right. The thing with doing screws like this is where you could crack something because there's just a hole here. It's just a hole, and then the screw is going to, like, you know, it's not threaded here. Obviously, the screw is threaded, so you're kind of like forcing this into the hole in plastic, and it's not meant to be like taken out and then put back in. It is meant to be like set. It's like the force of your screws. Like you wouldn't want to use a screwdriver for this, or sorry, a drill for this, like a screw gun. You would want to just do it here, but you have to kind of just be very patient with it and careful with it, which is not necessarily what I want to do at 10:53 p.m. Eastern. I don't kind of want to just like get this done and move on, but you can't do that. You gotta be patient with it because I don't want to have to get my liquid cement out and like worry about that and be like, oh well, no, I broke this piece, so now I gotta put liquid cement on there and cover it in tape and rubber bands and hope that it adheres and isn't completely fucked. But also, you have to make sure that your screws are, you're trying not to strip the screw, and then you're also trying to get it on there enough so that it can slip in whatever other pieces of plastic that are going to go around it. Uh, and it, so it is a little delicate. But you end up with, like, it's still, like, because it's not threaded in the inside, these pieces still move, and theoretically they will be firmer than if you just, than if they weren't there, and it was just plastic sticking in there, or rubber pieces. So theoretically, we're making a nice strong kit here. All right, so we'll get this piece done here, and then we will probably call it quits. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, is he going to raid somebody tonight? And the answer is yes. We end every stream with a raid. I was a little bummed that Kate Stark, last night we raided her after the anime stream, the anime discussion stream. Kate was barely online, but she did give a raid, which was nice. She continued to love by raiding somebody else, so that does happen. I mean, I try to pick people on the West Coast, which she is, and I try to pick people that stream into the night, which she wasn't. I hadn't realized that she'd been streaming for like 8 hours. Otherwise, I would not have raided her because she was definitely not going to be there for long. But I do try to pick people on the West Coast who are going to be streaming for a bit, because that way, the raid will last a little while. Yep, that was unfortunate. But all right, so that's going to finish it up for tonight. We got a bunch of odds and ends done. We got both the arms done, which was good. I have to make sure this looks right. It does look right. Okay. We've got part of the legs done. We're going to keep going on the leg, including the big feet. This Kampfer's got some big feet. It's a thing. But let's go raid somebody. Let's figure out who we're going to go raid, give some love to. As always, you don't have to come along on this raid, but feel free to. I try to pick people who do cool things and are nice people. I try to pick people that I know personally. Sometimes I don't succeed, but I always certainly try to go and give some love to some awesome people. And again, I try to pick people that are going to be playing for a while, who are on the West Coast. I wonder how long. Oh no, we're going to go to that. We'll go to that. Let's see. Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to find somebody that I think will be playing for a while. A lot of people are streaming right now, but that person ends early. That person ends early. Let's see. What's he doing here? No, that's not what that is. Okay. Oh, we're gonna go raid a cool dude. We're gonna go raid Ray FK. Who is Jordan, who is currently playing Hades. So we're going to go give him a raid, and so we can check out some Hades. Sorry about that. That took a little while to figure out who I was going to raid, but we're going to go raid Jordan. So feel free to come along this raid, check out some Hades fun. If you're not sticking around, or even if you are sticking around for the raid, please check out my next stream on Saturday, where we're going to keep working on all of the good parts of this kit. We got so much more left to do on this kit, so feel free to come along on that. Come along on the raid. Come back on Saturday. I'll see you on the next build with Baer. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Have a great one. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye.